Before we get into this episode, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. You can hit the notification button so you can get updated weekly on all of our latest content. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, tell us what you want to see next below. Gary Brecka's episode obviously crushed it. People loved when you came on the show. And I wanted to meet your other half, Sage, who we have here.
Thank you.
I wanted to see, there's a lot of, I know this with Michael, there's a lot of puppeteering that has to happen when someone's very talented. And I know you're very talented and you have to have a very strong partnership. So I was interested in having both of you on the show. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're
Thanks
so
for
excited to be here. Yeah, we've done a couple podcasts together on The Ultimate Human, but we haven't been on a lot of podcasts together.
That's actually true.
And let's get a little context before we hop into it and take 500 rabbit holes, like we said. How did you guys meet?
So you want me to take this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it was a third time's the charm situation.
Okay.
So we both got divorced from our ex-spouses at about around the same time frame. And when you get divorced, everybody wants to play matchmaker. And so my sister Kirsten and her husband Brady had known Gary for 10 years?
He's been a friend of mine for a long time.
A long time. And they both immediately were like, you guys should meet. So we met, but it was too early. It was kind of like that phase where you go, I'm never getting married again.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. And so it was just kind of a high five, nice to meet you moment. Then I think a year or two later, we met again, but we were both actually seeing somebody at the time. And then at the next time, it was actually the third time, we ran into each other at like a networking event. And I gave him my business card and I was like, let's go meet for business lunch. And
originally it was to meet for business lunch for me to do lunch with her boss.
Yes.
And then I was like, I'm going to try this. And I was like, we don't need your boss to go to dinner. I hit send and I was like, all right, that's either going to go really good or really bad.
The worst she could have said was no.
I think she fired back a smiley face and I was like, yes.
At what point did you guys realize that you were synergistic when it came to building the business as well?
Well, I mean, that came about, the business was a surprise. I was in the life insurance space and had a restaurant in town. She was in real estate. She was actually renting out some of the condos that I owned above the restaurant.
Well, that was one thing so my mom has been in real estate for decades in Naples, Florida, and she always did high-end rentals because we have such a seasonal population down there. So he shows me this cute little restaurant that he owned, and there were 4 condos upstairs that I was like, you're not renting these? It's right on the beach. And he was like, no, I hadn't even thought about it. I'm like, dude, we can make some money off of this. So my sister is an interior designer. She came in, designed it all out, got all the construction done. We put it on the market and we did really well. So that was actually our first business running it together. I sort of managed all the rentals and it did really well.
And how did it evolve? Because I'm curious how you guys work together, live together, raise kids together, have a partnership, like do all these things. It's rare that you meet, you guys know, couples that are doing it all together. And it seems like you are. How did that evolve?
You know, it was interesting. So I have 3 kids, and she has 1. And eventually, when she moved in, it was like kind of perfect because my 3 kids, we had a 5-bedroom house. I had a 5-bedroom house, and 3 bedrooms were upstairs. So my kids already lived upstairs, and we had 1 guest bedroom downstairs. So it worked perfect when Alina came in, and I think it worked perfect because my daughter's the oldest, so she's definitely the alpha of my 3 kids.
Madison rules the roost.
Madison runs the show.
I love her.
And even my son, both of my sons who are like 6 feet, 210 pounds, like Madison still.
They don't mess with Madison.
Is running the show.
You had girl, boy, boy.
I had girl, boy, and then girl. But it worked out because Alina was like 5.5 years old. She was like kind of this cute little girl. So she was so far away from Madison that there wasn't any friction there. Maddie really adopted her like a little sister, and they shopped together. And then the boys, I'm not even sure they knew somebody was living in the house for 2 years. And they realized, oh, wait, maybe she's going to stay. So they were kind of aloof. But it just fit. I mean, God just put us together at the right moment. And, one day I came home and I decided to quit my job in the insurance space. It just got to be too much, looking at spreadsheets, predicting death. And I told her that I quit my job that day and that I wanted to start a a functional wellness clinic.
And how long ago is this?
This is 8 years.
8 years. Part of this too, I think, came about because I had gotten into a car accident a month after we met. I was in Colorado, and we got. I was skiing in Colorado. He did not come with me, but on my way back to the airport in Denver, I got hit by a teenager, 15-year-old kid that was learning how to drive, and I was just in so much pain after that. I think a lot of this sort of came about because he was always trying to figure out different ways to get me out of pain. And we tried all the different routes before it led to spinal fusion surgery.
She ended up having to have an L5S1 spinal fusion. So we're like early in our dating career, and I'm literally carrying her to the bathroom because, if you've ever known somebody who's had spinal surgery, I mean, after spinal surgery, you're completely incapacitated for a few weeks. I put the little tennis balls on her walker for her and put stickers all over it. And I in some ways, it just kind of really brought us together because, I was responsible for all of her care. She just moved in, and then she had this major surgery. And then it wasn't long after that, she got back into her real estate career, and I was doing life insurance the entire time.
But he really wanted to do this thing, and he had a concept of not just opening it right away. Like, we didn't just say, oh, okay, we're just going to lease a space and try this out. We thought, okay, we're going to bring business into an existing business, but it was an urgent care center. And we very quickly realized
huge mistake
that urgent care, where there's emergencies going on, and things like B12 shots and testosterone and IVs,
and peptides and wellness.
Yeah, this doesn't really mix. And one of the funniest stories that I laugh about is that there was literally a lobby area where people were waiting, and we had just had a hurricane. Someone came in with a chainsaw injury, bleeding all over the place, and sitting next to someone that was literally coming in for a B12 shot. So we were like, we should probably
you're here to pick up your
spot.
peptides, and don't worry about him. He'll be fine. The nurse is coming.
That's how business is, though. I feel like that you pay attention to the sticky parts, and you have to cut where it doesn't make sense. If Gary Brecka told you, Sage, that you need surgery, you must have needed surgery, because to me, one of the takeaways I got from our first episode is he has come into people's life and say, hey, you don't need surgery. Let me tell you what you actually need. So you must have really needed the surgery.
I did. I went 2 years after the accident, and we really did try all the things. But there was like a day where I just couldn't walk anymore. It was just the
spinal
nerve was
degenerative disc just
pinched and
looked like a sheet of paper instead of like a thick disc, and there was so little space left in the spine. It was compressing the nerve, and then impingement system, syndrome, radicular pain.
My left
all
leg
the things
just felt dead all the
But
time.
if you're going to fuse a level of the spine, the best one to fuse is that L5S1 because it's the least mobile, right? So it's the most stable. It's the least mobile. When you do the cervical spine, you get these hypermobile.
Don't worry. We can edit it out. I don't want you to stress.
Which is exactly your mom's phone, which she said, will you make sure?
I did. It's the alarm for, it's a 6 o'clock alarm.
Oh, for me to take my vitamins.
For you to take your vitamins?
She reminds me every day to take my vitamins.
Leave that in. That
we
is
believe so much in methylation. She has this theory that I'm like instant asshole if I don't take my vitamins. And I'm just more focused.
No,
I don't become an asshole.
Do you want to take your methylated vitamins on air?
I don't think we even brought them.
I don't think we brought them. Yeah, I think we left them at the
Airbnb. He's going to turn.
I might just become an asshole.
Turn like a werewolf.
By the way, put a pin in that because I want to ask you about methylated vitamins.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, I come home one day to, say that we want to start this clinic. We move into the urgent care center. That ended up being a very bad move. So then we took over basically a bankrupt vitamin shop.
It wasn't bankrupt. It was just, you always say that and it sounds bad.
Well, they went out of business.
They went out of business.
Sorry,
it was just an empty space that you leased.
Okay, it was a vitamin shop that went out of business.
Okay.
And then we took it over. And it was, maybe they didn't go bankrupt. You're right.
This is how it feels to have a him and her podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get held accountable. Yeah. This is how you feel.
Okay, good.
Just so you know.
You just start to zone it out after a while.
You
do? You correct me on air.
Okay, can you shut her mic off? And we'll just run with this. So we moved into this spot, and much to my surprise, she was all in. I mean, I thought I threw it out there, and I thought there was going to be a lot of resistance, and I was going to have to explain to her how passionate I was about it. But she was like, you know what? really that excited about real estate. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And
I was still doing like Airbnbs on the side.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And at what point does it start to take off? Who are you guys have had
Not right away.
Not right
away. I think that's important to talk about.
Yeah.
And who was your first moment that you were like, holy shit, we're onto something? Was it a celebrity? Was it an influencer? What happened?
do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, I feel like there were so many struggles, especially financially, when you start a business, and especially when you haven't done it before.
Sure.
Like, we didn't realize all of these different expenses coming our way. And I remember I went to him one day, and I was like, after this is probably a year maybe, and I went to him and I said, okay, here's where we're at. This is what we have in the bank account. Here's all of our expenses. In order to, crawl out of this, I was like, I didn't think we were going to make payroll the next month. That was one piece of that. And we were really struggling, and it was just so frustrating because, like, literally we would give stuff away just to get people to walk in the door. I mean, that's where you're at. And we would go, one by one by one. We didn't know anything about social media. We couldn't afford true advertising. And we grew it very grassroots. Like, one patient, we would help one patient at a time. And they'd say, well, now I really want you to help my spouse or my kids or my friends. And so it was truly that. And, but I came to him one day and I was like, babe, I don't think we're going to make payroll next month. And so he was like, well, I guess we'll sell the house.
It was an easy decision for me. What she said was, we have about 60 days until we're either going to miss payroll or we're going to miss the mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So you have to decide, are we going to miss the payroll or are we going to miss the mortgage payment? And I like, well, we're not going to miss payroll. So let's sell the house. And then we put the house on the market and it sold 24 hours later.
Yeah. Then we were like, crap, we should have probably raised the
And so we
price of
downsized
that.
majorly, and we put all that money into the business. And
then he took it one patient at a time, or two a day.
2 a day.
He came up with a concept of just 2 a day. If he could just get 2 people in, new patients in, then that's where we could, get this money and get it back on track. And I'm telling you, like, for anybody that's starting a new business, create a goal like that, and because it freaking
Only
works.
focus on, there's a famous story that Ed Milet tells all the time about when he was young and his father was an alcoholic, and he used to ask his dad all the time, like, Dad, do you ever think you're going to drink again? And his dad would say, I don't know if I'm ever going to drink again, but I know I'm not going to drink for one more day. And he would and it's a metaphor for that. Don't look so far into the future, right? Just figure out what you're going to do tomorrow. And I realized that if I could bring 2 new patients in a day to this clinic, that we could meet all of our operating expenses. So that just became my goal every day. It was 2 new patients. And what was fascinating was, neither of us are licensed to practice medicine. So we had to find a nurse practitioner. We had to find an MD willing to hang his license there. And we found this doctor, Dr. Campamore, big shout out to you, who was one of the longest practicing anesthesiologists in town. And he was very skeptical in the beginning because he was super allopathic. And I'm like, no. We're going to fix this thyroid by using methylated vitamins. We're going to fix this thyroid. We're going to get this person off of blood pressure meds by doing this. And he sort of didn't believe it, but knew that what we were doing wouldn't harm anyone. So he was like, okay, well, I'm going to trust you, and we're going to start to work the system. And what started to happen was, like 10 or 12 weeks into these protocols, people were dropping thyroid medication. They were off of hypertensive medication.
Losing weight.
They were losing weight.
Sleeping better.
Their sleep scores were improving. And he was like, I've never seen, I managed patients for decades and they never get better. All these people are getting better. Like, they're not coming into my office anymore. And some of them had rather severe, chronic conditions that his anesthesiology practice was managing. And he went all in with us. And then the business really started to take off. And I think anybody that tells you that you can be in business with your spouse and have a business and have a relationship, and that you can separate the two, I think is lying to you.
If you have a good day at the office, you have a good day at home. If you have a bad day at the office, you're having a bad night.
But it's
at
also
home.
we talked about this a little with you last time when you weren't here. Like, I don't want to be limited from discussing exciting things with like, I always find it strange. It's like when you're at home and it's date night, we don't talk about the business. Like, well, what if that's like really exciting for me that day? Like, it just doesn't work that way, because then you have somebody that may want to talk about something one time and the other person won't, and they're closed off.
Except when there's displacement. This is my new word. Okay.
Great.
Displacement.
No, let me tell you about displacement. This is my new word. I read about it in a book about therapy. Displacement means that you had a bad day at the office. Something went wrong.
That's different, though.
And you come home and you don't like something, the way I did something, and then the person displaces the anger from the office onto
different.
you.
That's different, though. That's like, anybody can do. I mean, if you can
that's what happens when you're in business with each other.
No, but you can have a friend that gets dumped and then he takes it out on you because but it's really nothing to do with you.
Displacement does happen, though, when you work together and you live together. It happens. I just wanted to use that word.
I tell people not to work together.
I laugh because it's hard to work together. Because sometimes I would have to remind him, like, babe, I need you to play the role of my husband and just listen about my bad day that I had.
Oh, they don't know how to do that.
It's very difficult.
Marry a woman.
Yeah.
Marry a woman.
I don't even know if
No, I just want to solve things like right away. Like she wouldn't even finish her sentence. I'm like, well, just do this.
God.
You know, like, can we just... Yeah. So here's the solution. Next topic.
Just listen. Just listen and don't act like it's just so easy to solve. And I'm like, just listen to me. Maybe just give me a hug. Let me cry it out and give me a hug. And I actually don't want to hear you. Just comfort me.
You see, it's not just me.
He's learned. He has learned.
Because she would start a sentence. She'd be like, you know what? Jason came into the clinic today and I got so upset. I'm like, stop talking to Jason. Okay. What else happened?
And by the way, it's not Jason. We did have an employee named Jason.
You know when Homer Simpson goes into the grass? When I start talking, I want him to just be the wall. Yeah. Like, don't say anything.
No,
don't react.
You're missing that meme. He literally backs away and goes through the wall and escapes.
I don't care where he went. The point is that I get to talk and you're shutting up and you're just listening with your ears.
Okay, let me ask you this.
With your ears.
In the early
Not with
days,
your mouth.
And we covered a lot of this stuff. I highly suggest everyone go and listen to the episode we did with you previously. But for the majority of people that were coming into the clinic in the beginning, what was the majority of the issue that you were helping them solve and that is maybe applicable to this audience?
A lot of weight loss stuff.
A lot of weight loss, a lot of brain fog, a lot of poor sleep, a lot of joint pain, and a lot of undiagnosed hormone imbalance. Like, you know, women would come. So we were right down the sidewalk from an LA Fitness. It was actually the busiest LA Fitness in the country in Naples, Florida. So that created a lot of foot traffic for us because people were going in there. Oh, there's this clinic here, and they would just come in and they'd sort of lay their problem on the desk. And at that time, it didn't matter what they said. We would say, yeah, oh, poison ivy, hives. Yep, great. Toe hurts. Get in here. So
you don't listen? Come on in.
Come on in.
Got a problem? I will solve it halfway through your sentence. And you know, what was astounding to me was, you know, I'm a human biologist, so I'm not licensed to practice medicine. And we had a medical clinic, and there were medical professionals there, and there was a nurse practitioner there and a doctor. But most of these people would come in, and they would take this medical history, and I would go, you know, this is kind of easy. Let's not overcomplicate it. You know, you have these labs here, and it says that you have hypothyroid, but you're not taking any supplementation for the thyroid. Thyroid doesn't even make the majority of this hormone. So let's not talk about medication. Let's actually talk about supplementation. And it was astounding how many problems the doctors were allowing us to solve through their license just with basic supplementation and lifestyle changes. We would look at these labs completely different because I'd read medical records for a living, and immediately, just like me wanting to solve her problems, they wanted to immediately diagnose. And I was like, let's look for the deficiency, right? Let's look in these labs. Look at all of these deficiencies. No wonder there's no testosterone. No wonder they can't produce testosterone. They have no vitamin D3. They have no DHEA, and they have a high protein in their blood called SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. And it was fascinating to me that they only knew about vitamin D3. And so we would explain it to the practitioners, and they're like, you mean we can put them on these basic supplements?
What were the common things for weight loss, why people weren't losing weight?
It was kind of different for men and women. You know, with women, it was a lot of not understanding their blood sugar, and they were eating to lose weight, but they were exercising not to lose weight. So they were exercising to be cardiovascularly conditioned.
Right.
And so these two concepts don't go to the same parties, right? They don't really like each other. So a lot of women would come in and say, I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of black coffee, I'm fasted, I go to Orange Theory, I go to LA Fitness, I go hammer down for 45 minutes or an hour. I've been doing this 5 days a week for 3 months and I haven't lost a single pound.
We heard that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's like, it's too much cortisol, right?
Too much cortisol, but we would look at their blood, when we would look at their blood, I would say, you're hypoglycemic. Like your hemoglobin A1C, the 3-month average of your blood sugar is 4.8. Okay, so that's, if you know what this measurement is, it looks at 90-day average of blood sugar. If your average blood sugar is low, that means half the time you're below that, half the time you're above that. You're not a candidate for intermittent fasting when you have blood sugar that low. And so what they would do is they'd do the same thing that their husband or their boyfriend was doing. Their boyfriend was doing great intermittent fasting because they were poor at controlling their blood sugar. So these women would have a really narrow eating window. They would exercise intensely in a fasted state. They would burn all of their lean muscle. It would send their cortisol into a tailspin. Their thyroid would start to slow down in an attempt to save their life because the thyroid will perceive, the pituitary will perceive low blood sugar as starvation, and it will start to slow your metabolism down. So we'd see their metabolism really slowed down. We see their sugars are really, really low. Their hemoglobin A1C, 3-month average of their blood sugar was really, really low. They developed something called reactive hypoglycemia, which is actually where your insulin goes through the roof.
So they got insulin resistant.
And then they became insulin resistant. And then what follows, because the pituitary doesn't just regulate your metabolism, it also regulates your menstrual cycle, right? So it drops these hormones down, luteinizing and follicle stimulating hormone down, and it moves a woman from follicular to ovulation to luteal. And as it moves her through these phases, the hormones need to leave the phase, leave one phase and enter the next phase at the same time, right? You want them going like this. You don't want them going like this. So what would happen is a lot of these young women were very estrogen dominant. The first sign of estrogen dominance is water retention. So they were bloated and water retentive. They weren't fat.
This is exactly what happened to me before I got pregnant with my first baby. I would fast like him. I was like, oh, he's intermittent fasting. I would just have a coffee. I would go work out in the gym. Before I know it, I have thyroid problems. I have insulin resistance. I had all these, and then you get pregnant on top of that. And I didn't know anything about weightlifting. This is 5 years ago. And it's a fucking nightmare. It's a disaster. And we've been fed as women a long time ago, like don't eat fat, a lot of don't eat meat, don't lift weights. That's going to bulk you. That's going to bulk you. And it's like
the whole myth behind
crazy
creatine. I mean, if you're a woman over 40, you should absolutely be taking.
You know what's so funny,
Agreed.
Gary? We had a bunch of clips do very well, on the show the last time you came on, and one of the comments that I thought was funny was, it's like, oh, here's a man telling women how to live. Why do you feel qualified to tell women how to live? I know what you're going to say.
I'm actually truly not telling you how to live. I'm just giving you the science behind your labs. Right?
Yep.
I'm just giving you the science behind your labs. What was really astounding too was our practitioners, even our doctor at the time was like, wow, I can't believe she's 26 years old. We need to put her on hormones. I'm like, no, we definitely don't need to put her on hormones.
So what do you do?
We need to expand her feeding window.
Okay.
We need her to start eating, working out, not in a fasted state, but in a fed state.
A fed state of protein, a fed state of fiber. What do you recommend?
Minimum of 30 grams of protein.
Okay.
Within 30 minutes of waking.
Okay.
And we're just going to have her do steady state cardiovascular exercise. The old Tim Ferriss 4-hour body theory. It's funny because Tim gave me a shout out on a podcast the other day because his book sales took off after I started. Because I always give him credit because that's what I actually read that theory and I.
It's a great book.
Applied it. It's great. It's a great book.
And it's easy.
League of Titans. He's written a lot of good stuff. But so we would expand their feeding window, fix their nutrient deficiencies, vitamin D3, DHEA. We would get the SHBG if it wasn't because of birth control. We would lower their SHBG with just minerals like boron, and we would give them minerals, amino acids, vitamins, expand their feeding window, change their workout from intense fasted cardio to low intensity steady state cardio or weight training in a fed state, and their metabolism would
Come
just
right off.
turn right back on.
Mhm.
Was this wild for you to see, especially as a woman? Because like you're, as you collect friends as you go on in life, and you see it, that's a topic when you go for happy hour with your friends.
Yeah,
Was
exactly.
this shocking to you, or did you already know all this?
No, I knew none of it. I have zero medical background. Never thought I was ever going to touch it or be near it. But now I can spit off so much, great information just from learning from him and, being around all these different people that have had all these life-changing stories. And but then I also had my own life-changing story that helped me learn it. So one of my stories, when I became estrogen dominant, and you get, when we talk about estrogen dominance, one of the main symptoms is getting this like tire around the belly. And I've always been relatively thin, the estrogen band. Yeah. So like right below the belly button, when women are just like, oh my God, I feel so bloated. And that's where they're carrying this water weight. That happened to me. And it was all because I was taking the wrong form of supplements. And so it was like, I went to go pick up my youngest daughter, multivitamin, just the gummy, kids multivitamin. And thought, oh, I'll pick up this other brand of vitamins, Women's Ultra multivitamin. And I think it was at CVS where they lined the shelves. Picked it up, started taking it. Over the course of the next 4 months, I mean, it was very exact, I turned into a crazy person. So, and I got I was carrying weight in weird ways.
Good idea, Gary.
Yeah. Just
listen, don't say anything.
Yes, we listen and don't judge. He helped me through this. Well, tried to. No, you did after the 4th month.
Yeah.
But
I just thought she was going nuts.
Yeah. But it's like we had been together for 5 years at that time. And he was like, what is going on?
No, I mean, we talked about last time when she gave birth to our first child and she was postpartum. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what to do.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm like,
You.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you also were in a state where you're just like, I don't know. I actually don't know why this is happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we went, there was a lot of stress to the business for sure, but I don't know. There were days where I didn't want to get out of bed. There were days where it took all I had to get to the office and and run the show there. There were days where I wanted to kill him. I
For no
was either
reason.
super sad, super angry. My brain didn't work. The brain fog was so severe. And my anxiety, depression, OCD.
and you
went
think this
through the
was
roof.
all caused because of the wrong multivitamin?
No
Nuts,
question.
right?
So
Totally
this is where
crazy.
I want to get clear to the whole audience, because everyone that's listening, let's say 70% of them is on a multivitamin.
Yes.
What are the things that are huge no-nos? Don't even think about it.
She'll
For
give
sure.
you both of the big
two
two.
things that I've learned the most about, and I feel like I have a box that I can really speak intelligently in this space because it happened to me. Outside of that, I'm like, no, I can't answer any of those questions. But the two things to look out for: B9, vitamin B9, and vitamin B12. So
You don't want those.
No,
Folic acid.
You do.
You just want the right forms. So there's a lot of synthetic, man-made laboratory versions of these vitamins because it's cheaper to make. The natural versions are a little bit more expensive. It's not like off the charts expensive though. So vitamin B9 is the real version, the natural version is 5-methylfolate. So the cheap version, the man-made version, is folic acid. The majority of America and definitely countries outside of us, but know about folic acid because it's so heavily pushed on pregnant women.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm sure you went to gynecologist, you're pregnant, and they're like, we want you to take a prenatal with folic acid. And I think you guys probably covered this before, but if you have certain genetic markers and certain genetic breaks, of which I do, it's called MTHFR, I cannot convert the folic acid, I can't methylate it into 5-methylfolate. I tell people I'm allergic to it basically, because that helps people understand better what happened, but it's a deficiency because of MTHFR. I need more folate in my diet, in my supplementation to bring my levels up to a normal range. But folic acid, a doctor, my gynecologist, every year that I go in for my annual exam, we get into an argument about it. But I'm like, I tell her, I'm like, I can't process folic acid. So
And
I
she was
just need
taking
folate.
huge, this multivitamin had very high
huge
doses of folic acid, like enough for a pregnant woman, and had very high doses, like 23,000% of a form of B12 called cyanocobalamin.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Neither of which she could process. And
I just can't have the
it sent her
stuff.
into a tailspin. I mean, it culminated in her actually in the office one day. She actually, for the first time, had a panic attack.
Yeah.
And she had it right in front of me. And I was very empathetic to the panic attack, but I literally said, we're going to figure this out. And I grabbed a Q-tip and while she was having the panic attack, and then I helped her. But I cheek swabbed her. I actually was like, I'm getting some DNA. So she was
in, like,
laying on the floor
fetal
crying.
position. Yeah.
I stepped over and I
position.
cheek swabbed her. I was like,
Such
just let me
love.
get some DNA, babe. And then I put it in a Ziploc bag, and then I, tried to walk her out of the panic attack.
And you had never tested her before that? So like,
no, I'd never tested her for this gene mutation before. And what was astounding was she was positive for the MTHFR gene mutation, affectionately called the motherfucker gene.
But this is where I really started to, like, the light bulb went off for him, and I really started to dig in and understand this. So when I got my LabCorp blood labs back, it tests for your vitamin B12 levels, and that was like sky high, through the roof, couldn't be measured. But we also did a cellular nutrition assay test, which is what measures the vitamins at a cellular level.
Inside the cell.
Inside the cell. And I was almost completely deficient in B12.
how do you do that test? What is that a?
The blood
It's,
test.
It's a
There's
blood test. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cell Science Systems has one. There's one called the ALCAT. There's one called the Cellular Nutrition
But it's just a blood
Assay.
test.
But
Yeah,
but
just blood.
basically what it does is it measures the difference between what's in your blood and what's going into the cell. Because very often people see really high B12 in their blood and they think, oh, I'm taking too much B12. It could be the polar opposite. It could be that you're not absorbing it, right? So if none of it is being metabolized by the cell, then your levels are going to rise. So if you take the wrong form of B12, and majority of people that are taking cyanocobalamin are taking the wrong form, then what happens is it skyrockets in the blood, but it never moves into the cell. And this is what we found on her blood test. And the light bulb went off for me because we saw these sky high levels in the serum of her blood and no B12 inside of her cell. And
So then he started asking me, he's like, what are you taking that you have so much B12? And then we basically just pulled everything out. It was like, okay, what am I eating? What am I taking? I was like, oh, I started this multivitamin, stupid gummy multivitamin 4 months ago. And we did my lab review with one of the practitioners, and she was like, that's it. You can't process cyanocobalamin. And it was in like powdered drinks, it was in protein shakes, it was in, like, I started to see all these places where it was in my diet. And then folic acid is also sprayed on most of our grain source. So I was eating cereal in the morning. This is kind of before I really got like into the health kick, I guess, fully. But I was having cereal in the morning or a bagel with cream cheese or something. I was bad.
super
And
doses of folic acid.
all of that there's folic acid in our grains. So unless I eat organic or imported grains, then my anxiety will come right back. I'll be super depressed. So that's what was happening, is I was just getting high doses of folic acid and cyanocobalamin, and it made me nuts.
There was a reel that I saw the other day that said the best decision that you can make for your family is to change the bread in your house.
Wow,
1000%.
that's a great.
And it was so cool.
Yeah.
We found this little local sourdough place here that
Mhm.
has 3 ingredients because of your episode.
Amazing.
And changed the bread, and my son was getting little bumps on his arms, and they immediately went away.
Isn't that wild?
It's like yeast, whatever the other
Water
thing,
and-
flour.
Like sourdough.
Yeah, flour and water. That's
Like
the ingredient.
Yeah, like a good sourdough is great. And that's why a lot of people can eat grains and cereals and breads and pastas in Italy. And then in the US, you just blow up like a tick.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it's not a
folic acid
food
is a
allergy.
completely man-made chemical, right? You can't find it anywhere on the surface of the earth.
But it's in everything, and it's in the big breads, the big brands, like the brands we think they greenwash it.
Yes,
Or
they
you think it's
greenwash it.
healthy.
Yeah.
So
I like
here's
that term.
another thing too that then my mind started racing. I was like, okay, so then we got all the kids tested, and then so for my daughter, when I had only had my daughter Alina, and then came into Gary's family with Madison, Dylan, and Cole, but I realized, like, gosh, Alina, I would give her. I know it's bad to say brands, but I would give her orange crackers.
They were shaped like fish.
Shaped like fish.
That are the worst for cavities. I just found out.
Worse for
Right,
cavities.
yeah. And circled cereal. I know you always get Cheerios. I take her to the zoo. I give her all of these snacks,
It's okay.
which are
Cheerios
standard.
is not a partner of the show.
No.
If they were,
They're
I would
not?
bleep it out now.
Okay.
Didn't want you to get
Cheerios
in
is
trouble.
not
We've gotten in
sponsoring the show
trouble
anytime
before.
soon. I
Good.
do not think.
But I'd give her handfuls of these snacks, and then she'd be in like full-blown meltdown mode,
Mhm.
like temper
Yep.
tantrum like crazy.
And then you think they have ADHD.
Yep.
And then you
This
think
is how it works. Or
Yes.
they think they have this. I was telling Michael this the other day. Our kids are pretty even keeled. We take them to a birthday party
Mhm.
every fucking time.
every
Yeah.
time.
There's a tantrum.
Yeah.
Because the red whatever or the whatever's in the
Pizza.
cake.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And there's a tantrum. And
Yep.
he's looking at me like, who are these kids? And I'm like, this is what happens
Yeah.
when they eat all these things that you
Yeah.
guys are talking about.
If you want to know the why is exactly this, because rarely does anybody tell you what ADHD is or ADD is or even what anxiety is. No one
What
ever
is it,
defines it for people. And so I just like to define it so they know what it is, because
No,
attention deficit disorder is not an attention deficit at all. It's an attention overload disorder, right? It's too many windows open at the same time. And so people that have ADD or ADHD, they don't lack the ability to pay attention. They lack the ability to pay attention to so many things. And so this is, just too many windows opening. So what opens these windows? What opens them is a rise in something called catecholamines. And this is a category of neurotransmitters linked to fight or flight. So at baseline, you have catecholamines circulating around in your brain and your bloodstream right now. But if they rise, you'll be in awakened state. If they continue to rise, you'll feel anxious. If they continue to rise, you will feel the sensation of a fear without the presence of a fear. And if it rises any further, you will have full-blown anxiety. As they continue to rise, you can have a panic attack. And if they go higher than that, you will have full-blown paranoia. This is the same cascade of neurotransmitters, just at increasing levels in your brain. And so once you understand that it's this rise and fall of this class of neurotransmitters called catecholamines, then you can go about saying, well, what breaks down catecholamines, or what causes them to rise? Well, in children and men and women, and the whole population, roughly half, somewhere between 44 and 60% of the population have this gene mutation. And so they have a difficult time breaking them down. And things like folic acid will exacerbate it. So this is why food is very linked to mood. If food drives excess catecholamines, food can drive anxiety, food can drive anxiousness, food can drive, racing thoughts. And then modern medicine comes in and says, okay, well, if your mind's racing, let's put amphetamines into the body to race the central nervous system to match the pace of the mind. And that doesn't make any sense. Why don't we actually just slow the mind down?
Which is why all these kids are so over-medicated.
Yes.
Why they're medicated.
100%.
And it's really wild. Whenever we travel, if you notice, their personalities change a little bit because we don't have all the access that we have at our house of all these things that, like, I've taken away essentially and added better because you're traveling, right?
Yeah.
You're like, we're in
restaurants.
Miami. It's like, I got to do what bagel is this? I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I could travel with a bunch of shit, but like, fuck, add it to my plate.
Yeah.
But the personality changes a little bit when they travel. I notice it.
There's 2 Italian restaurants in Naples where
I got to text you guys next time
Oh, yeah.
about
please
where
do.
to go.
Oh,
for sure.
1,000% will tell you. So both are delicious. They're amazing. But the behavior in our children, including even my teenager and then my nieces who are younger, the behavior is vastly different if we go to one versus the other.
Very much so.
Right? It's
One's true imported.
True imported. I'll even give them a shout out. Barbatella's in Naples. And you go there, you can eat the pizza, you can eat the pasta, and you can eat the bread, and you're going to be okay. Your kids aren't going to leave like crazy children. But the other restaurant, I love it. It's delicious, but I know that they add folic acid into the flour, or they're just using it's. And I should specify it's enriched or fortified. So if you look for enriched or fortified flour, rice, pasta, cookies, crackers, whatever, that's not good. They're adding, when you see it and they're like, oh, we've added all these vitamins and minerals, that's a bad thing. They're adding things that are cheap, and a lot of people just can't process it.
I have a question that is a bit of a follow-up, still in line with what you're talking about. You mentioned blood pressure at one point. In line to a story you told us off air about a very prominent individual, which I won't shout out unless you do, that you helped, that was basically on the way to extensive heart surgery.
He's talked about it everywhere.
Oh, Dana White.
Yeah, okay, but I don't want to say it for you.
No,
okay.
Dana's been very
Dana
open
White,
about it.
I'm waiting for you on the podcast, Dana White.
I was talking to him on the way in here.
I know this is just a position you wouldn't think of him on this podcast, but I find him really
I
interesting.
wanted to talk about high blood pressure because there's a few things. One, what is the real marker? I feel like at one point people were saying it was 130, then now it's 120, and what I've seen is it moves up and down. Well, pause there.
Right.
And then the other part, one thing I've also seen, somebody mentioned that actually high blood pressure can be solved by increasing the magnesium in your body so
Very
that your
true.
vessels aren't constricted. So
Yeah.
1, why do people have blood pressure? 2, how do we solve it? And 3, what is the real mark people should look at?
So, this is another thing that we found to be a vast success in our clinics. And, when our clinics really started, when our clinic, which was called Streamline Medical Group at the time, really took off before we sold and merged with 10XL. And this was one of the things we started to become known for in town. And if you start with the concept that 70% of our circulation is actually not done by our heart. Most people think that the heart circulates all the blood in the body. It doesn't. It circulates about 30% of the blood in your body. The other 70% of your circulation is microvascular. It's done by an activity called vasomotor. So think of a snake swallowing a mouse. So there's no pressure in the snake's throat. This is actually a muscular activity, vasomotion or vasomotor activity. So this is why, if you look at, and you can Google this, what percentage of essential hypertension or primary hypertension or high blood pressure is idiopathic, is of unknown origin? 85%. 85% of the time, when somebody is diagnosed with high blood pressure, they do not know the cause. And what do they do in 100% of those cases? We medicate the heart. We hold the heart responsible for a crime it's not committing. So beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, calcium channel blockers, diuretics, we throw all of these things at the heart, even though the person has a full normal cardiac workup, normal EEG, EKG, heart sounds, lung sounds, even advanced diagnostics, cardiac cath, dye contrast study, all normal, but we're still going to medicate the heart because we don't know why the blood pressure is high. So you just think about a closed system, right? This is a fixed system. If you make the pipe smaller in a fixed system, the pressure goes up. So what makes the pipe smaller? Well, one of the culprits, and if you want to look up the study, there's some phenomenal studies. There's a hypertensive journal that actually published the link between homocysteine, which is an amino acid in everybody's blood. Everybody listening to this podcast right now has an amino acid in their blood called homocysteine. When this amino acid rises too high, and it's not properly metabolized, so it turns into something called methionine. As it's cruising by the inside lining of the artery, it irritates the artery. And if you irritate an artery, it will clamp down. And when you make these pipes smaller, it will drive pressure up. And so we spend very little time talking about the 70% of this circulation that's microvascular. So how do we cater to that? You cater to it by managing homocysteine. If you have double-digit homocysteine, you have some vascular irritation. And you can take a very simple amino acid called TMG, trimethylglycine. It's over the counter. You can get it anywhere. Our company makes one, but you take this amino acid and it gives you the ability to begin to metabolize homocysteine. Because what's really fascinating about the human body, and I dedicated the balance of my adult lifetime to the study of this, but just because I'm so fascinated by it. It's like we take one item and we use it in the human body, and then we throw out the trash. And then that trash gets pulled into another cellular transaction and it gets utilized, and then it gets tossed out as trash. And then it goes into another transaction. So you look like homocysteine becomes something called methionine. Methionine goes up to the brain and helps quiet the mind. Once the mind is quiet, it's metabolized into something called S-adenosylmethionine, SAMe. And then SAMe is broken down into S-adenosyl homocysteine, which becomes homocysteine. So what's really interesting is there's like this sandbag pass in your cellular biology, passed from one transaction to the other. If you delete a nutrient from that chain of events, the chain breaks right there. So in other words, like if I was passing a sandbag to Sage, she passed it to you and passed it to Lauren. If Sage dropped the sandbag, there's nothing wrong with the two of you, but there's nothing you could do. You don't get the raw material you need to do your job. And this is why, our biggest mantra now is we're really just not as sick or diseased or as pathological as we think we are. Very often we are just nutrient deficient. So directly to the case of hypertension, the first thing I would check, unless your doctor can say you have hypertension because.
And hypertension is high blood pressure.
High blood pressure. Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. If you have high blood pressure because of this, we found this wrong with your heart, which is 15% of the time. 85% of the time, they're like, you have high blood pressure. We don't know why. And so then, you know what they do, which is even more sinister in my opinion, is they go, well, let me look at your family history. oh, your uncle has high blood pressure.
But he might have got the same kind of diagnosis where they don't know.
And your mother's sister has high blood pressure. Oh, you have genetically inherited hypertension. And if a doctor ever tells you that, I would look him right in the face and say, well, then what gene did I inherit from my ancestor that caused this condition to exist? And their face will go blank because that gene doesn't exist. And if that gene doesn't exist, because we rarely pass
So there's
disease
no
from
way that
generation.
it's genetic is what you're saying.
It's familial. It runs in your family, but it's not genetic. We assume it's genetic because it runs in our family. But once I get you to accept that you have a genetically inherited disease, I can get you to subscribe to a lifetime of medication. Because I say, Lauren, you got this from your dad's side and your mom's side. You're screwed. You'll say, oh, I guess I'm going to be.
Well, this is what they did with
so-
my thyroid.
Well, so hold on before you go to thyroid. But so if they came and they said, okay, we can't point to a condition in the heart, and I was your patient, what would be the things you would have me look to in order to try to decrease my blood pressure in a more natural way?
TMJ. Or TMG.
TMJ. Yeah, TMJ.
Oh, don't take medical advice from me. TMG, right?
Yeah.
And you have a supplement that you can
But
get.
is it
Yes.
just that, or like, and when you're working somewhere, are you prescribing other things? Is it
Like, is that what you I know with Dana, he's told his story. Like, is that the thing?
So Dana had one of the highest levels of homocysteine that we'd ever seen.
Okay.
Right? And just to be clear, I'm not a physician. I'm not licensed to practice medicine. So
I know you have to say that all the time.
I have to say it because I don't want to pretend to be a doctor because I'm not. But we would pull homocysteine on all of these labs, and the correlation between high levels of homocysteine, called hyperhomocysteinemia, and the clients coming into our clinic that had high blood pressure. I mean, I don't know that we saw a case where that wasn't the case. I mean, I'm not saying it's 100% of the time, but it could be as simple as this elevated amino acid causing this vascular constriction. The other thing I would obviously look at is I would look at sleep, diet, and exercise. I mean, those are also great ways to lower your blood pressure. Lots of people are hypertensive because they are sodium deficient. I know that sounds mind-numbingly opposite of what you've been told, but if you were so hypertensive, if your blood pressure was so high right this moment that you called 911, the very first thing they would do when they got here is they would bag you with saline. They would take sodium chloride and bag it into and water, and they would bag you with it. If you were so dehydrated right this moment that you landed in the emergency room, the very first thing they would give you is a saline IV. So I would look at mineral deficiencies. I would look at I would put them on a mineral salt. I would look
Baja
at
salt,
like a Baja Gold salt. That's what we take. I think it's a phenomenal salt because it has all the other trace minerals, and we're so mineral deficient, and we don't think that minerals matter, but they do. I mean, most people will tell you that our bones are calcium. They're not. They're calcium combined with phosphorus, which forms something called hydroxyapatite. So our bones are hydroxyapatite, but in order for hydroxyapatite to form, we need 12 minerals. If you're missing any one of those 12 minerals, you can't ossify bones, which is why so many nursing homes are full of men and women all over this country that have osteopenia or osteoporosis, and they've been on calcium supplements for 20 years, right?
the
Mineral
calcium
deficiencies.
supplements are so.
I would look at minerals.
Can you jump in the
homocysteine.
ocean to get a lot of these minerals? Because every time I jump in the ocean, I feel better.
Yeah.
Great for you. Yes.
Ions too.
Yeah, ions, and they go
Grounding in the
transdermal.
sand.
This episode is sponsored by AG1. Every single morning I wake up, I do my electrolyte water, and then I do a scoop of AG1. Michael got me hooked on this. He actually got me hooked on it while we were traveling. So he was traveling with the AG1 travel packs, and I grabbed a few and tried them. Really like the taste. It's an easy way to get in so many minerals and vitamins and just fill in nutrient gaps in my diet, especially when I'm traveling. If you're looking for a quick, healthy habit stack, this is it. So what I do is, like I said, I'll wake up, I'll do my water, and then I'll do a scoop of AG1. And then after that, I'll wait 90 minutes and do coffee. And it's something that I've just implemented and integrated into my day. And I don't even think about it. It's like truly like brushing my teeth. Whenever I skip a few days of AG1, I don't feel the same. Like I can notice the difference. I like to froth it up and put a bunch of ice in it. It's so delicious. The taste is so good. It tastes so much better than a lot of the chalky green powders or supplements on the market. I think it's the best tasting one. It costs less than $3 a day. That's less than a cup of coffee, and it's such an easy thing to do for your health. So start giving your body the nutrients it deserves. Head to our link, drinkag1.com/skinny to subscribe for less than $3 a day. If you use our link, you'll also get a free welcome kit with a shaker bottle, 5 AG1 travel packs, and more with your first purchase. That's drinkag1.com/skinny. I have done the Prolon 5-day fasting mimicking diet 3 times. So each time I've done it, it's been before vacation, and I've been really happy with it. Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish your body while keeping it in a fasting state, triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. But here's the deal. Fasting can be challenging. This one was not challenging. It was really, really cool. So what it does is it allows you to eat during the fast so your body stays nourished while also getting the benefits of a traditional prolonged water fast. It almost like tricks your body. And fasting isn't just about shedding weight. It's about recalibrating your system and setting your health journey up for success. I looked forward to the results, but I wasn't like starving. So try, if you're looking for a good fast, Prolon's fasting mimicking diet. When I get back in the game post-baby, I definitely will be trying out this fasting mimicking diet again. I think you guys will like it. And now they have a new program. It's called their new Next Gen program, and you can experience the same science-backed results in a cleaner, more convenient, and fruitful format. To help you jumpstart a plan that delivers real results, Prolon is offering the Him and Her show listeners an exclusive chance to be among the first to try Next Gen, with 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/skinny. That's prolonlife.com/skinny to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/skinny. One thing that has blown my mind when it comes to wellness is that everyone is doing all these things for their skin and their hair, but they're not focused on the water that they're showering and bathing in. So enter Jolie. Jolie is a beauty wellness company that purifies the water we shower in for better skin, hair, and overall well-being. If you're someone who gets acne a lot, or you notice that your hair is like feeling dry and stringy, I would definitely check your water. Jolie's filter shower head is best in class, and it removes chlorine and heavy metals, and it's the only lab tested and clinically trialed filtering shower head on the market. Here are some stats for you that will blow your mind. Clinically proven to reduce hair shedding in 81% of people. Lab tested to reduce hair frizziness by 40%. My favorite one is that it maintains your color retention. So if you're someone who colors your hair and you notice that it's like washing out quicker, check your shower head. And then it's also lab tested to protect the hair's surface layer. Chlorine is added to our water's systems to disinfect and kill bacteria, but chlorine's damaging to your hair and skin, and it causes issues. So if you want just like a beautiful, sleek designed shower head that also gives you strong water pressure and removes the chlorine and heavy metals, you have to check them out. Jolie will give you your best skin and hair guaranteed. Head to jolieskinco.com/skinny to try it out for yourself with free shipping. And if you guys don't like it, you can return your Jolie for a full refund within 60 days, no questions asked. You mentioned, we talked a little bit about thyroid, and I wanted to ask you a question on air.
Okay.
So you told me I needed the thyroid support,
Mhm.
and I started taking the one that you recommended. But here's the thing. The ashwagandha in it, is that how you say that?
Ashwagandha.
Gives me pimples.
Really?
And I'm not a big pimple. I don't get, that's not my problem. I have other problems. Pimples are not my problem.
Right.
So what can I do if I can't take that one?
Take the version that doesn't have ashwagandha. So
Is there
you're
a
probably
version?
talking about the Thorn
Yeah.
version. Okay.
Is there a
So-
version that doesn't have that?
Yes, the Thorns has thyroid support. Pure Encapsulations has one.
With no ashwagandha.
Right. It
Okay.
just has the selenium and the other thyroid support nutrients. Remember, the vast majority of your thyroid hormone.
I'm going to butt in
Okay.
for a second,
Please.
because what about, and I have no idea what your levels were, what it is, but did you talk about our bed situation and what had happened with me?
Oh yeah, that's
Because
another.
I did a blood test
Mhm.
and it showed that my thyroid was a little off.
Okay.
I haven't had thyroid issues to this point, but they were, I think maybe my T3 was too low.
T3 was low.
Okay. So we were trying to figure that out because I hadn't had that issue before. And there's always something new in our house. He's
Right.
always coming up with, like when you guys come to visit.
We get it. We
Yeah,
can't wait
you
to see.
totally
I
know.
I have
can't
a
wait to see
bad
the house.
biohacking problem.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
I'm
wait.
coming to check out the podcast studio in the
Yes.
Ox. What is it? The
The
hyperbaric
hyperbaric.
chamber.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah,
the
he
gym
went a
is in a
little,
hyperbaric
He
chamber.
went
I
a
love
little
it.
too far when he put a hyperbaric chamber in our bedroom, but
Oh,
we've moved past that.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
She went skiing for 4 days, and I put a hyperbaric in the bedroom, like a
but not like a
ginormous
small one, like a
2-ton hyperbaric.
Like it's a submarine in our bedroom.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Get your oxygen while you
Yep.
Mhm.
do what you do.
I moved on.
Okay.
So, but anyway, he put this thing over our bed. What is it? The silver.
Pure woven silver fabric. It's basically,
It looks like a tent over our bed.
yeah. So it's
Okay?
completely
It's like
EMF
princess
free.
bed now.
So there's no Wi-Fi, no 5G, no microwave, no radio, no nothing. We sleep in a completely EMF free environment.
So
Get ready, Michael.
The guy that puts this together, yes, I think you're actually going to love this. So the guy puts it together. I'm like, this is actually kind of pretty. It's cute. You know, it's kind of like a princess bed. But he was like, you're going to sleep awesome because you're not going to have any EMF and all these other things. I slept like shit the first 3 nights.
Mhm.
And so I texted the guy. I'm like, dude, this is not working. It's actually had the opposite effect.
She was having
I'm
hyperthyroid symptoms,
wide
like
awake.
mind racing, heart.
So he goes, oh my God, that's great. I'm like, what? He's like, are you taking a thyroid supplement or something, support
Thyroid
or
support.
something? And I was taking selenium, I think.
Mhm.
And I just started it maybe a month before. And I was like, yeah, I actually just started the selenium thyroid supplement. And he goes, okay, stop taking it for a week and see if that helps. And I was like, and I have no idea what the science was on it. But as soon as
can
I
tell
stopped taking it and gave it a couple of nights, or we went to travel as per usual. And when we came home and I slept that first night, not having had the thyroid supplement and slept in the bed, it was nuts. I went
Mhm.
right to sleep.
But
And I
here's-
haven't had thyroid issues since.
So, but isn't the selenium helping with the thyroid? I'm
The
confused.
selenium is helping with the thyroid. She was deficient, but as soon as she got in an EMF-free environment, her thyroid
It
Function.
corrected.
Fixed
So then I was
itself.
taking a supplement that was like messing it up again.
was
Isn't that wild?
unbelievable.
Mm.
Like our sleep scores are now, I post my sleep scores all the time, but I mean, our sleep scores are off the charts. I
Crazy.
mean, I'm consistently like
So
98,
so what is the
100%.
product called again? The silver.
I don't know if it's even a product. Dr. Mercola sells one, but it's basically a silver fabric. It's 100% woven silver, and
You
it's
put a thing on the ground and then it closes. Like you open it up and then
looks
and
like
then
a
it
mosquito
closes.
net.
And you can't use your phone in there. Like I can't take a
There's
phone
no
call.
reception in
It
there.
reminds
There's
me
no
of the
Wi-Fi.
mithril vest that Frodo gets in Lord of the Rings. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Hold, this is where I'm confused though. Should let's say you get this like tent situation.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping in the silver tent.
Mhm.
You don't need thyroid support then?
She has not had it since.
I have not needed. We have to be very
Yeah.
careful about that because I'm not giving medical advice.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't needed it since,
Okay.
which is wild. But again, my
Wow.
thyroid levels were not
And listen,
that
a
far
lot of our
off.
organs
Okay.
are EMF sensitive,
But-
but I want to just finish answering your last question because 80% of our thyroid hormone T3 is not made by the thyroid, even though we measure thyroid hormone T3 on a thyroid panel. And then if it's deficient, we medicate the thyroid. That's what conventional wisdom says. If T3 is low, let's medicate the thyroid. Levothyroxine, Synthroid, Armour Thyroid. So there you're holding the thyroid responsible for a crime it's not committing, because if you just think, well, where does the other 80% of that thyroid hormone get made? The majority of it's made in the liver, but some in the gut and some in the periphery. But the point is that it's outside of the thyroid. And so if you look at the nutrients needed, selenium, sometimes iodine, a complex of B vitamins, if you look at the nutrients that are needed for proper thyroid metabolism to convert T4 into T3, deficiencies in these nutrients can cause deficiencies in thyroid hormone levels. And now you're medicating the thyroid for a crime it's not committing.
Which is why the pure encapsulations for me you think will be good because it's.
Doesn't have ashwagandha.
But also you recommended DIM to me too,
Yeah, diindolylmethane.
and I can take both of those pregnant.
You can take them when you're pregnant.
Why
Yeah.
are there women who are not getting pregnant? Why is infertility higher than ever?
That's a great question. So I think that a lot of women are poorly methylating. And if you look at there are a lot of factors in getting pregnant. One of them is what's called adhesion, the implantation of the egg into the uterine wall. This is called adhesion. The other one is the viability of your eggs. A lot of fertility is governed by this process of methylation. Methylation is what the body does to take all the raw materials that enter our body and convert them into the usable form. When you get certain deficiencies, like for example, if you want to have some fun, just Google MTHFR and infertility.
Okay.
And so a lot of your female audience will find this, that when they read about MTHFR, which is the most common gene mutation in the world, when they read about this gene deficiency and its propensity to cause skyrocketing levels of miscarriages, and an inability to conceive, you realize that my inability to conceive, and if I've been conceiving, my inability to carry to term, because I've had repeated miscarriages, is highly correlated to this gene mutation, which means it's highly correlated to a nutrient deficiency, right? So this gene mutation doesn't actually interrupt your pregnancy. It interrupts your ability to metabolize folate. And the deficiency in methylfolate is what's interrupting your pregnancy. And so very often we blame disease on outcomes when the disease is the byproduct of a nutrient deficiency. And there's very few diseases that you cannot trace back to nutrient deficiencies, right? I mean, this whole category of autoimmune, right? Which by the way is 82% of autoimmune diseases in women. They're more, and women are not more susceptible to autoimmune disease. They are more susceptible to something called caregiver syndrome. They're more susceptible to poorly managing stress.
What is caregiver syndrome?
Putting the needs of others before the needs of yourself.
Don't worry, I don't have that. Literally, I don't have that at all.
Age is not affected by that recently either.
By the way, I'm comfortable saying that. I'm not like, of course, I'm like a mother to my children, but I'm not going to mother my husband.
There you go.
And he likes that. He likes that. Yeah, his mother doesn't have that syndrome either, which is good.
She's gonna hear that.
His mother's amazing. She's the best mom ever.
Put that disclaimer out there.
No, it's not a disclaimer. She's the best mom ever. I think I think that has raised a strong man.
Mm-hmm.
Who has attracted someone who doesn't have caregiver syndrome.
Yeah, she doesn't have it any longer either.
Not anymore.
No.
I did though for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I had to just step back and go, you know what? Y'all can take care of yourselves
Uh-huh.
now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any more butts to wipe for a long time.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, that's well, you can
You're
come
right
out
in
on
the thick of it
another-
though. Yeah, that's
Well, I wanted to know, what was the first celebrity that spoke out about you guys? Because all these celebrities talk about you. You did a podcast with David Grootman.
Yeah.
He talked about how you changed his life.
He's a huge support. I mean,
Well,
thank
Ivanka
you
Trump
to
on
Dave.
your podcast said
Ivanka
that I got her
loves
onto
you.
Perfect
Yeah.
Amino.
Everybody we come
amazing.
across is talking about you.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
And so what was the celebrity that sort of tipped
Probably
the
Dave was
iceberg? And
really
what
a
did
big
what
one.
did they talk about?
Kardashians, I think, when we went on the
But we
Kardashian
met
show.
them through Dave.
Yeah, we did. Dave introduced us.
Dave Grutman, thank you very much. You guys had known each other for many years, but then he really, got on the program and changed his life, and his wife, Isabella, they're just like fabulous people.
Such good people.
And
yeah.
he just knows everybody. I mean, he's the king of Miami.
Mhm.
And he was so kind to always, he would FaceTime Gary and be sitting down with the most wild people. And he'd FaceTime Gary and be like, Gary, you need to talk to this person. They got this problem,
You got to
that
fix
problem.
this.
You got to
And
fix them.
He would throw me on a FaceTime with someone,
Gary always
usually very
said,
famous.
So was
yeah.
he the one that started connecting you, or
He was a
him
big
and
connector.
Isabella? They started connecting you guys, and then you started helping.
Yeah, I mean, in all
Crazy
fairness,
people.
the Cardones, when we merged with 10X, when we went from being streamlined to 10X Health, the Cardones introduced us to a lot of people in their circle. One of Elena's friends, Gary Kasem, is who introduced us to Dana White. But prior to that, Dave Grutman was introducing us to everyone under the sun, and we can publicly talk about it because we ended up being on the show.
Yeah.
But introduced us to Kendall.
Jenner.
And Kendall Jenner.
Why I watched the
And
show. What is the episode?
We were
I
on
need to watch?
the season finale of
Sounds
on
right.
Hulu of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I think that I maybe
We're doing
hadn't
Survivor.
It was
met
the
you
new
guys
one
yet.
on Hulu.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
I need to go put it together and watch you guys on the show. So
Oh, yeah,
you
that's-
helped. Did you help her with anxiety?
helped her with anxiety.
Okay, and did it
Yeah.
work?
Worked like a charm.
So all these people just started singing your praises. But what I think so cool about what you guys have done is it's been really organic. It seems like you've really helped people, and they have such value in what you guys have done that they organically talk about it. That's what I feel.
Yes. I mean, you've been able to help so many people, and that's clear. But who have you come across that you've not been able to help? Like something that's beyond your scope of powers or information. Like what? Or is that rare? Or is it typical you are able to?
I don't know if you can say a name, but
I can't say a name, but I mean,
or what condition, I guess.
Yeah. So basically, poor compliance is really, really hard to help someone. Like a lot of people will introduce me to a loved one, and that has a certain condition. Now we always get a medical team involved, just to be clear. But a lot of times when you're introduced to somebody, maybe they don't respect your level of knowledge, or maybe they don't know who you are, and
or maybe they just don't want to do it.
Or they haven't sought it out for themselves.
They haven't sought it out for themselves, and they're very non-compliant. Or very often, we've had the doctors talk them out of
that too.
A lot of the advice that we give. And
why is that doctors do that?
We had one case, someone that you guys know very well. Actually, Lauren's talked about this, so I could talk about Lauren. We were working with her husband, with JR before he passed away. And she spoke about this on the podcast. And JR was just doing amazingly well. Like his blood work was literally perfect. And the four of us, JR and Lauren and I and doctor were on the phone, and our doctor. And I was complimenting JR on his blood labs. And he brought up the fact that his primary wanted him to get this booster. And I was like, look, JR, number one, you've already had COVID. You have the antibodies. We can see them on your lab results. You don't have an autoimmune disease. You're not at high risk. You're healthy. Your blood work looks perfect. You're exercising. Your inflammatory markers are all within normal range. Your C-reactive proteins, your CPK is down. Your liver function's off the charts. And I wouldn't say that we had an argument, but we had a very intense conversation. Lauren was a part of this, and his doctor was adamant about the booster. Now he'd already had COVID, and he'd already also had the initial vaccine, the 2 vaccines, and then sadly, he got the booster and developed something called thrombolytic thrombocytopenia.
How do you guys manage all of that? Like, how do you, with what you guys do, what do you not touch it with a 10-foot pole? Do you do it behind closed doors and have conversations?
Always be honest. And so will she. When people just ask for advice and guidance, we're always honest. And sometimes it creates a lot of friction. Like, we truly feel like we don't have any competitors. And when I say don't have any competitors, I don't mean we're better than anyone else. I believe that there are so many people out there that are doing good things and doing the right thing for humanity. Like all those brands I've just shouted out, we have no affiliation with any of them. When I sent you to Thorne, I don't have an affiliate link with that. I mean, when we sent you to Pure Encapsulations, that's created a lot of friction for us in some business relationships we've had, because I think that advice needs to be truly authentic. Like if you feel that Symbiotica has the best charcoal binder, then you should send people to Symbiotica. When if you feel like Next Health has the best therapeutic plasma exchange, you should send people to Next Health. And we've had a history of doing that. And so we're very straightforward with clients that we work with. But in terms of someone that we haven't really been able to help, I mean,
I remember one, I don't even remember their names, but the husband, it was, a couple came in and, the team put together a great protocol and the husband was on it. And I remember he lost a bunch of weight. He felt great. He had energy back. Libido came back, all these great things. And he's like, I feel amazing, but my wife refuses to do any of it. Mm-hmm. And that was a struggle for them. And it was, I remember, they got on the phone and he was like, can you talk to my wife about this and get on her? Mm-hmm. And I think you ended up kind of firing the wife.
Her as a
we fired her as a patient.
This is all
not worth our time.
I guess what I was maybe asking, and if I wasn't clear, I'm sorry, was more of like, are there conditions that you can't, like like there's thyroid you can help, but there's anxiety or there's high blood
He's
pressure.
saying, like,
Yes.
is it
Like,
like
are there things where
migraines?
when somebody calls you that are common issues that people have, and you're like, listen, this is not what I do, and you got to
outside the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
for
those
sure.
that are outside the box,
Yeah.
but there's always something that you can do for the host. Like, for example, I'm not I wouldn't treat somebody for cancer. I wouldn't care for
Sure.
somebody with cancer. However, the majority of conventional cancer treatments and therapies are going after the villain. They're not caring for the host. And we don't develop a care plan for the person and for the cancer. We develop a care plan for the cancer. And I have a very close friend of mine, documenting it. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me talking about it. Who is right now who's dying of cancer. And he's been a 35-year best friend of mine. We've known each other since we were very young, pledged the same fraternity to get together. He didn't catch it until late stage. So he is late stage 4 metastatic cancer, and it's already spread. And so he was at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. And we went out to see him. She even did a post about the food they were feeding him.
Okay, can we just touch on that for half a second?
Yeah.
We walk in, he's in like the, ICU unit of cancer wing or whatever, the Mayo Clinic. Sorry, Mayo Clinic. But I walk in and his lunch was 3 jars of red Jell-O, a thing of applesauce, and a ginger ale. And
Seagram's ginger ale with 54 grams of sugar.
when he was having like a burping thing, like he was like had painful burps, and he asked the doctor about it because he's just asking the doctor all the things. They're like, well, we'll give you a pill to stop the burping or whatever. I go, how about I don't feed the guy ginger ale? Like, with all this sugar, you've got cancer. Cancer feeds on sugar. What is this? And I did a post about it, and I don't do that a lot. I try to really keep a happy thread of things. But I posted, and I was like, this is not okay. And it started quite the conversation of people saying, yeah, this is BS that, my kid had cancer or my grandparents or my, his spouse. And that's the same thing. Like, for dinner one night, they gave him an option of a vanilla milkshake. So you had vanilla ice cream, probably cheap peanut butter, and Hershey's syrup because they wanted him to put on weight.
This is in the ICU at Mayo Clinic.
I was like, what is this? Why?
So when you guys came in, what were the tools that you gave him?
So when we came in, first of all, we needed to be in the room with him and his family when Mayo came in and said the really hard things, which was essentially 6 months, maybe a year with massive chemotherapy, surgical resection, radiation. And I believe that shoe needed to drop because his will to live is unbreakable now. And so I found him, a colleague of mine who's a naturopathic oncologist. I also found a fully board certified oncologist. I found a board certified interventional radiologist. And we collectively put together a care plan. So essentially, as soon as he was stable enough to get out of Mayo, I hired him a full-time.
Which they did do a good job of that.
They did. They I mean, he was septic. They
trash
stabilized him. They saved his life. So shout out to Mayo Clinic for saving my friend's life. But as soon as he was out, we developed a really aggressive care plan. So he has a keto chef that makes all of his meals, microgreens. It's a very, very clean ketogenic diet that he's on. I shipped him a red light therapy bed. He sleeps on a EMF mat. He has a surgically clean air filter in his room. I put water filtration in his house so that he has 4-stage reverse osmosis water filter. I add hydrogen gas to his water before he drinks it. I'm a huge believer in hydrogen gas. I think it's probably the greatest health hack that nobody's doing right now. And then what we did was we, now that he's on keto and he has all of these things at home, instead of doing surgical resection of all of these tumors, the interventional radiologist goes in with a catheter and actually cryoablates the blood supply to these tumors. So you use argon gas, which just freezes them. This outpatient walks in and walks out. Then we developed a whole care plan for him as a host. So he gets regular EBO2 ozone therapy. So his blood is taken out. It's run through a blood filter, and then he gets ozone gas added to it, and it goes back in the other side. If you look at the amount of mold, mycotoxins, heavy metals, parasites, viral pathogens, BPAs, glyphosate, jet fuel, that came out of his blood. It is mind-numbing.
Why jet fuel?
Isn't that wild?
Because they're in accelerants, they're in hairsprays, they're in aerosols. There's aluminum in the air.
Stop with the hairspray. This
I'm not
is
doing
your
this.
sign.
Don't start with me again.
Oh,
We did
please
this 2 episodes
stop
ago
with the
today.
hairspray.
So we did
We did
something
this
called
2
the
episodes
Vibrant
ago today. That's
Wellness.
why I
Please stop
had
with the
to shut it
hairspray.
down.
This podcast is sponsored by Daily Look, the #1 highest rated premium personal styling service for women. So here is a hack of a lifetime. Daily Look, they get you your own dedicated personal stylist. And basically what they do is they curate a box of clothes based on your body shape, preferences, and lifestyle. And it's not an algorithm. It's real personalized stylist, which is amazing. So you get to try on up to 12 premium pieces per box in the comfort of your home. This saves you time and effort. I also feel like it's really efficient. I love working with a stylist because it takes the guessing out of everything. And I just think the best thing you can do is find clothes and pieces that flatter your body, and a stylist really helps you do that. I am very busy, but I like looking effortlessly chic, and Daily Look has got you covered on that. So how it works is really simple. You fill out the style quiz, including your price and lifestyle, and then you get, like I said, 12 hand-selected items delivered to your home. I personally love it because it's a great way to elevate your style, and they have sizes for almost every body from extra small to 3X to 0 to 24. It's time to get your own personal stylist with Daily Look. Head to dailylook.com to take your style quiz and use code SKINNY for 50% off your first order. Again, that's dailylook.com for 50% off, and make sure you use our promo code SKINNY so they know I sent you. One last time, dailylook.com and promo code SKINNY. One thing moms do not mess around with is their formula. So enter Bobby. Bobby supports every feeding journey with simple, organic, high-quality formulas that bring their best for your best. It's founded by moms, backed by science, and trusted by 500,000 plus parents. So I believe, and I think a lot of people believe, that feeding your baby isn't a one-size-fits-all journey. And that's exactly why Bobby exists, to support you wherever you're at in this journey. So whether you're exclusively formula feeding or combo feeding, or you just need a backup, like you just want like a backup plan, Bobby has your back. What I like about this formula as a mom is that they're USDA organic, clean label certified, and modeled after breast milk. How do I know this? I got to do a shot of Bobby formula on the show, and I can tell you, it's very breast milk-like. I've tried my breast milk. Everything is designed to be easy on tiny tummies. They have an organic original infant formula, and that's their grass-fed whole milk recipe. They also have a gentle option for sensitive bellies, so you can sort of curate what works for your baby, which is nice. Bobby is offering an additional 10% off your purchase with the code TSC. Visit www.hibobby.com to find the Bobby formula that fits your journey. That's HIBOBBIE.com.
The Skinny Confidential Him and Her Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Summer is here. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of break from the workplace. Here's the thing. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. Let's be honest, there's a lot of stressful things going on in the world. This is why it's so important to manage your mental health, make sure that you're getting the help you need, make sure you're talking things out. This is why Lauren and I love BetterHelp so much. So many high performers that have come on this show over the years swear by therapy. What I love about BetterHelp is it brings therapy to the comfort of your own home, cost effectively and conveniently. And here's the thing, to battle stress, most of us can't wave goodbye to work, but we can start small with a focus on wellness. Some things that I personally do to help with stress is I read, I get outside, I work out, I move my body, spend time with the kids, anything I can do to help manage stress. But it's also so important to also talk through your problems and through your issues and make sure that you're not overrun with the stress of everyday life. A holiday is great, but it isn't a long-term solution to stress. Don't forget that therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or any day might bring. And like I said, we know so many high performers that have benefited from therapy. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life, plus switch therapists at any time for any reason. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/skinny. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/skinny.
Did you know that most toilet paper has formaldehyde and chlorine in it? It also has dyes. I was shocked to know, I found out this probably a year ago, that there's all of these crazy things in toilet paper. We're wiping our most intimate areas with this all day long. My daughter is using the toilet paper. My husband's using it. I went on this like wild goose chase to find the best toilet paper on the market. And while I found some brands that were great, I also wanted to create something better. And so that's what we've done at the Skinny Confidential. We have created a better choice. I was involved in every single detail of this toilet paper. We took out formaldehyde, we took out chlorine, we took out the dyes. We took out all the things that I didn't want my family exposed to. And then, of course, in our very Skinny Confidential way, we wrapped it in pink, as you can see. I wanted the experience of the delivery when you got it to be very romantic and pretty. Never are you excited about getting your monthly delivery of toilet paper, and I wanted to make you excited. So it comes in the most luxurious box. You open it, it's packaged cute, and it also has our little stamp on it. And you can put this on all of the rolls in your house and know that it's a better choice for you and your family. I am so passionate about this launch. We have been working on this launch for a long time. My team is so excited about it. It's shaking up the market and it's disruptive and it's everything that we want to bring to the table. So if you're looking for a better choice when it comes to your toilet paper, go to shopskinnyconfidential.com. Grab it now. We will sell out, but we're doing subscription. So I would definitely say to subscribe so you can make sure that you get it monthly. That's shopskinnyconfidential.com.
You know, when fish get sick, we clean the tank, right? And we don't just treat the fish, right? We clean the environment up. When humans get sick, we treat the human.
Great
and we
analogy.
never clean the tank.
Yeah.
And so if you look at when he started doing these blood filtration, and you can get EBU anywhere. I'm sure there's a clinic that does it within 5 miles of here. And when we started ozonating his blood, when he started getting the heavy metals, the mold spores, the mycotoxins, the viral pathogens, so we started clearing these things out of his blood, all of his biomarkers came back. His stools returned to normal. And now the next phase is an additional blood filtration technology that's going to take the circulating tumor cells out of the blood. And then we are enrolling him in a program called Immunosine, which is, by the way, this is all being supervised by U.S. medical doctors that are licensed to practice medicine, that are board certified in oncology. And what this is the belief that we believe more in what God gave us than what man makes us. And if we can get the immune system to identify the cancer as a foreign pathogen, then the immune system will do the dirty work. So there's something called dendritic cell vaccine, which is in the immune system. A dendritic cell is kind of like the cell that runs to the front lines and looks at what uniform the enemy is wearing and then goes back to the base camp and tells all the troops, hey, this is what you're looking for, go kill them.
Like
right?
Scout.
It's like a scout. And it tells the natural killer cells, this is the uniform the enemy's wearing. So you take a sample of the cancer, and you take their own immune cells, you introduce them, you have the immune system identify the cancer as a foreign antibody, and then you expand those immune cells and you put them back into the person's body, and the immune system turns on the cancer. So that is our path.
All outside the U.S.
And those two parts of that treatment are done outside of the U.S. Because we already knew what the alternative was, right? So it's 6 months. Maybe a year.
So
with
why
all
not
these
just
messes.
try everything?
Why not try the thing?
Yep.
So again, it's just in caring for the host, his whole life has turned around already. He's a different human being today than even when he found out about the diagnosis. He's strong. His protein markers are good. His blood is alkaline. His color is back.
Mental health
He's
is
exercising.
positive.
What a rewarding situation you guys are in. It's really cool to watch and to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even just this podcast, everyone who's listening has got to have learned something.
Oh.
Before you go, I have one question about hydrogen.
Mhm.
Michael overdosed.
He got gas.
Can you tell us the perfect
No. I was taking
cocktail-
too much of it at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
So you can take too much,
You
right?
can. So, I use the H2 tabs.
Okay.
I brought you guys a
They're
bunch
so
of those.
good. I had the raspberry one.
Yeah,
the
they're
raspberry's good.
amazing. So it's elemental magnesium. You drop it into your water and it makes high part per million hydrogen gas.
Okay.
And if you look at the studies on hydrogen gas, I think there's two categories of people: people that are not drinking hydrogen water because they haven't read the research, and the people that have read the research and drink it every single day, because it is the lightest, most prevalent element in the universe. 10% of your body weight is hydrogen. It's hard to hurt yourself with hydrogen.
So how did he hurt himself?
I didn't hurt myself. I just took too much.
You had too much of an antioxidant effect.
Huh.
So hydrogen gas is a selective antioxidant. So in other words, it doesn't lower the normal oxidative stressors. It lowers the bad oxidative stressors, the hydroxy radicals. So if you just take one of those magnesium tablets, drop it in water in the morning, we do it every day. And if you're flying, always take one on a flight. It will completely negate the effects of travel, the radiation, the static electricity, the barometric pressure, and the dry air.
But just in the first thing in the morning, just
Just
pop
the
it.
first thing in the
That's all you
morning,
need.
drop
I
one.
might have to steal
The other-
some from
And
you
it's
guys.
not even, it's like $1 a day.
The great thing
I might
too is
steal
it helps
some.
you
You
absorb
should.
your vitamins better. But a big note that I'll talk about is my daughter last year, we went skiing and she got tonsillitis.
Okay.
So and then she got like strep throat and another round of tonsillitis, and it was just back and forth. Poor baby, like I don't know how she was able to breathe. Her throat was so swollen all the time. And of course, every doctor was like, you're going to have tonsil surgery. We're going to have to take them out. And I have to give Dave Asprey a shout out today because we had dinner with him last night and I told him this story that he said on a podcast with Gary about it potentially being mold related. And that's why we couldn't get it to go away. So we ended up doing a mold like detox protocol with her. And then she took those H2 tabs and I had her, she would do like 2 or 3 at a time, gargle with it and then swallow it. And I'm telling you, like between those two things in the last month,
massive
difference. I am so excited because I was terrified. I didn't want her to have this surgery. And it's lowered the inflammation in her throat. And it's honestly the best it's ever looked. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. Can we get a code? I didn't ask you this. Can we get code skinny
Yeah,
to shop
let's do
on
code
your
skinny.
site?
And if anyone signs up for my VIP program, which is essentially my online coaching program, then I'll send them a free box of H2 tabs.
That's
So
cool.
if they sign up for VIP and put a code skinny, I'll send them a free box of H2 tabs. If they just want to buy H2 tabs, I'll give them code skinny and they can get 20% off.
So they can use code skinny. What's the website?
ultimatehuman.com.
Okay.
Theultimatehuman.com.
Theultimatehuman.com. Use code skinny,
Theultimatehuman.com.
20% off. Go get the hydrogen tablets. I'm also going to buy the TMG for my dad.
Trimethylglycine.
Mhm.
And then if people want to say hi to you guys separately on Instagram, where can they find you?
I'm just at Gary Brecka.
I'm at Sage, SAGE, Workinger Brecka, because I haven't fully transferred my name out.
She's
all
added
way
the
over.
Brecka finally.
But I
now.
added the Brecka.
I like to make
Changing
them
your
white.
name for another time is not easy.
I took a while to
We got
change
married
it.
and she didn't change her maiden name for like 2 or 3 years, but it was
Yeah,
legally.
see,
It was
I
done,
like
but
that
window now.
publicly.
I like
Yeah.
to play
You know.
tricks.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
like,
in that
Instagram
window.
was easy,
Yeah.
but
Well, we got
Social
turned around
Security,
at
not so much.
going through TSA the other day because, like, the ID didn't match the, the
Yeah.
ticket, and they
everyone
literally
does.
would not let her go through.
I have a spreadsheet going of like all the things I got to go and attack to change my
It's
name.
a lot of work. It's not a
lot of
joke.
Mhm.
You guys are great on a mic. Where can everyone find your podcast? Leave us with that. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Theultimatehuman.com.
And we'll see you in Miami.
All
In
right.
the
Yes.
Thank you
oxygen
both.
chamber, not in your bedroom.
Next time we'll do the podcast in the hyperbaric chamber.
Done.
Sold.
Deal.
Yep.
Done.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.